Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my Business by Design Summit. And today I have a very dear friend. In fact, I think of her as like my woo-woo sister from Australia. She's from New South Wales. Her name is Rhiannon Rees. She's a best-selling author, an elite performance coach, and she's got a amazing story of success all behind her and going forward as well. So welcome, Rhiannon. How are you today?
I'm great, Carrie. How are you? Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Exactly. Internet's the way to be. I love that we can connect technology-wise. You know, we're so far away. Here I am in the States and you're in Australia, but I feel like you're next door sometimes, you know, when we reach out through Facebook, which is so cool. So awesome. So it's, yes. More importantly though, Rhiannon, tell us how you got into this evolution of you being an elite performance coach. A lot of times I think that our careers choose us. It's kind of the path, but tell us your story.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I started out, I did a business degree at uni, and so, you know, heading down the track of business, and I never ever thought I'd have my own business or, you know, do anything remotely like what I do. And sort of a series of events, really and truly. It's funny how the people around me saw that I was an entrepreneur before I saw it. Like one of the very last jobs I had, I was managing a spa, which is, you know, a health retreat. And very interesting because you're actually trading in emotions, like making people feel good. So I've got some really wild and wacky stories from that, which I can't share on this show, but, you know, they're quite funny. Anyway, I was managing this spa and I had a team of about 100 people in Canada. And the staff actually said to me, they said, oh, well, when you have your own spa, I'll come and work with you. And I'm like, I'm not having my own spa. And, you know, it's really weird because a year later I had my own spa. And about 35 of the team came over and they started working with me. And, you know, I just found it fascinating. It was very interesting business. I had that for 12 years. Basically, that went down the toilet. I lost everything. I lost my marriage, my business, and my mind all within a couple of months of each other. But what I didn't realize was I didn't realize that I'd actually lost my mind. I didn't realize that I was in shock because, you know, my husband came out and he ended up having a full sex change and became a woman, which is, you know, pretty, you know, unusual situation. And in some respects, that's also been an incredible gift because I changed and grew so much during that process. And what I didn't realize as an entrepreneur is that I had a poverty victim scarcity mindset. I didn't even know that that existed. Like I didn't know I had issues with money. So at the very end, when it was all going down, I was losing the business and my marriage and all of that, I just didn't care anymore. Like I'm just like, you know, I had a fairy tale dream with my partner and I thought, you know, we had a son and a beautiful marriage and beautiful business and all that. So when I lost my fairy tale, I thought, well, don't know how do I get it back, and so I didn't care anymore. So which I ended up living in a tent going to the food bank for food. And it's interesting how the 3 years before that I just prayed to God every day, can you change my life? Like just change my life. And you know, I couldn't believe, like, is he not listening or does he not realize I'm living on beans and rice or what's going on? And nothing was happening. And I was probably a little bit annoyed, but nothing was happening. But what I didn't realize was that it was going to be me to change my situation. So I got a call from my mum and she wasn't, you know, very well. Moved back to Australia, borrowed points and money from friends, came back to Australia and looked after my mum. But see, when I think about that in terms of entrepreneurship, I am a daring soul. I am someone who's always wanted to experience everything in life. Like I've traveled 50 countries on a shoestring on a $20 a day budget. I was never afraid to do anything. And, you know, sometimes I've landed on my head quite badly, but other times I haven't. And now that I'm older, I'm older than 21, now that I'm older, I'm more measured in my response. So if I get, you know, I get different offers and stuff all the time, I take my time and actually, like, I'll sit on it for a week or two and then decide, because usually if I do that bull at a gate thing, that's when I can land on my head more often. But being an entrepreneur has allowed me to be so much more creative and also to help so many more people, because I'm not defined by the job that I do, and I'm not compressed by having a boss who tells me what I have to do. So the buck stops with me. I create the wealth, I create the opportunities, and I change the lives. So when I came back to Australia, you know, someone had told me a few years earlier that I might make a great business coach. I didn't even know, you know, I'm thinking, is that like basketball but with business? I mean, I have no idea. So I did a bit of research and I thought, well, you know, I'll try it on. And when I found out how much money it was going to cost to be a coach, at first that was a bit of a stumbling block, but I did get through it. And it's all these hurdles that you overcome that give you more of yourself, that enable you to become the entrepreneur, that also allow you to give greater contribution. Like, I think any entrepreneur is the most daring, brave person I know, because it's easy to stay in a job. And sometimes people do have to stay in a job because they need to pay that mortgage payment. They want the security and they don't need the stress of being an entrepreneur. Like, yes, it's stressful, but there's other people who need to be creative and need to experience all facets of themselves to become a coach. Like, so I spent the next 7 or 8 years learning to be a coach, and there wasn't a course that I didn't do. I spent all my money on my head, coaching courses and all that, even before I bought a car. Like, I was still wearing my mum's clothes to work. Like, I've upgraded now, but and the rest is history. Like, probably by about my 3rd year of coaching, I started to make it. And in the last 3 years, like since I put out my first book, now I've got my 2nd book coming out. It's really easy. And I guess I look at my path as being an entrepreneur as there was no other path. I had to take this path. It's a soulful journey. I'm a heart-centered entrepreneur. This is the path I needed to experience. This is the path of greatest good. And I guess I listened to myself. I listened to that little inner voice that said, take this journey, even though I was so afraid to take it, because, like, God, like, what if it doesn't work? But, don't you feel like that when you're having a child, like you're pregnant, and I know you're a beautiful mum too, and you're like, what's happening? How does this work at the end of this and all that? Well, it's just a journey. And I think that you have to follow that path. So, that's what I would say about how I became an entrepreneur. And now I'm very blessed. My life's very easy.
So entrepreneurship's like being pregnant? I'm kidding.
Hey, in a nutshell, yeah, except, it's a little longer than 9 months.
A lot longer. There's definitely some growth along the way. It's
Yeah.
very interesting, though. I mean, I'm sure you would agree you're unemployable right now. I mean, the thought of going backwards.
I have a boss. There's no way. I am totally unemployable, absolutely. Like, I probably couldn't even get a job as a receptionist. I mean, I'd last maybe a day. I'd be flat out doing the coffee. I probably couldn't get that right either. Like, no, I'm unemployable, absolutely. I could probably do the other squares.
That's what cracks me up. Everybody I ask that's on this summit is like, oh, no. They would fire me the first day. In fact, one guy I interviewed who said he actually begged to be fired, like, just fire me already.
Fire me before I take the job, I'll feel better.
Exactly. I can explain it to my wife better than quitting.
Yeah.
No, it is a sense of freedom. And you and I have very similar personalities. We just are so out of the box. And I always say, totally out. If the farther outside of the box you go, the better you can read the directions on the box, is how I look at it.
Yeah, good point.
Exactly. So when you first started out, talk about the mindset piece, because that's really big. You said you invested a lot on your mindset. Kind of explain a little bit about that, because yes, the fear shows up always.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you bring up the mindset, because, as you know, I was actually trained as an action coach first, which is great. Like, that's a great platform. And I, think that, for a lot of people starting out, that's a great platform. And then I think, you want to harness your strengths and your unique ability and create your own, business however you move forward from that point. So when I very first started out, I was strictly a business coach, and I was strictly sticking to the rules in terms of let's do P&Ls and let's do KPIs and all those sorts of things that, your average companies use to measure performance. And it was really interesting, because I'm actually a qualified homeopath and I'm trained in natural medicine, and I'm also trained in observation, is I started observing the way I was coaching. And this is quite interesting, because what I realized after a couple of years was it was the homeopath who was doing the coaching. So I actually got the guy who taught me homeopathy, I called him up one day and I said, could you observe some coaching for me? I said, I want you to observe traditional business coaches who don't have any mindset, observation, psychology skills up against someone like me who does. And at first he said, I don't know what you're talking about. And then when he started observing it, he said, oh, I get it now. And I think the thing is, what people don't realize is the power of the mindset, especially the subconscious mind, is so incredibly powerful that the results that you get if you actually have a mindset shift far exceed any result that you could ever get with a conscious shift. So if I increase a P&L by 10%, like say I decrease the expenses or I increase the sales by 10%, that's great, that's awesome, everyone will love that. But I could do something really small with the mindset, and I could actually add thousands of percents to that business, because the shift is so incredibly expansive. And I mean, I guess the best idea I could give you is, I'm going to give you a little example of that, is I have some farmers that I coach, and all my farmers are beautiful, like they're salt of the earth people. They're gorgeous, gorgeous people. And this particular couple, they were really struggling to pay their bills, and they've got family, they've got kids. And they, I just asked them one day, I said, how much do you make per kilo of beef? And they said, oh, $4 a kilo. And I said, oh, okay. I said, how much do you want to make a kilo? And you know, it's interesting, they didn't answer that question straight away. They didn't come back and go, oh, you know, whatever. You know, about a week later, they said, oh, it'd be great if we could make $4.40 a kilo. And I just went, oh my God, like, you've just given me a logical answer. You haven't actually thought about it. And I said to them, I said, I'm really sorry. Obviously I haven't phrased the question properly, because I asked you how much you wanted to make, not what's your logical answer to that question. So then they thought about it again for another couple of weeks, and they come back and they go, well, it'd be great if we could make like $8 or $9 a kilo. Like, that was a big stretch for them. That you know, there's your mindset block right there. I'll give you the answer here. I'm at $4.40 would be great. There's your 10%. Like, that wasn't actually what you want to make. That's what mine says, well, the next step would be 10%. And that's what I'm saying with those whole KPIs, like, you're so restricted. So, you know, then I said to him, okay, how much do you want to make? He just says $10 a kilo. I'm like, okay, so now we're looking at, you know, 80, 90% increase. That's great. And I'm thinking more. I'm thinking, how much more can we do it? So eventually we agreed on $18 a kilo delivered direct to door, which is like, you know, more than a 400% increase in sales right there on that, you know, that issue. But then it was really interesting, because mindset, you know, wherever your beliefs and values are stuck, will show up in all of your life, including your business. So the thing that was really interesting then, he says, like, come take a walk with me. I'm like, okay. So we go out into the paddocks. I'm looking at cows. And he says to me, he goes, look, I've got a bit of an issue. And I said, what's the issue? And he goes, they're not going to sell. And I said, why not? And he goes, they don't look how they should look. And I said, head, tail, four legs, cow. And he says, no, they shouldn't look like that. And I said, head, tail, four legs, cow. Anyway, because he's actually a really good farmer. He's a holistic farmer. He likes to produce really good produce. He's, you know, a bit of a perfectionist as a farmer. He said, if I sell that cow, it's not going to taste great. So his mindset block was, I can't sell that cow because it's not going to taste great. So he was stuck there. I can't sell it, can't sell it, can't sell it. So I said to him, you know what we'll do? I don't want you to lie about what, you know, about your produce at all. Let's not focus on taste. Let's just focus on time of delivery. Let's only tell our customers what time they'll get their packages. That's it. And anyway, he still couldn't sell them. So I ended up selling a couple for him in the beginning to some of my clients, mindset block. And, you know, that's how it started. Now they have hundreds of clients. But the funny thing was, we just told them you'll get your package at 10 o'clock. And do you know when they all received their beef? Do you know what they said, Carrie?
Oh, it sounds wonderful. I don't know. I've never ordered my beef that way.
Yeah, they said it tastes amazing. So see, his block about the beef wasn't even real. So for me, I've always worked really hard on myself in terms of mindset and in terms of professional help. And I believe that the more you master yourself, the more you master your life. And you just need, you know, personal development, personal growth needs to be ongoing, because as you all, you know, we all know, you know, your self-worth dictates your net worth. So for me, I lived a life where I lived in pain and sadness for a lot of my life. Even though I'm a very optimistic person, I didn't realize how big the challenges were that I was dealing with. So even the story I told you about the tent, that's one of many. I've had lots, and, you know, maybe I'm one of those precocious souls who needs to experience a lot. So now if someone said to me, look, I could make you 0.00005% happier, I'd be like, show me. Whereas other people go, oh, it's too small. And I'm like, you know what? It's all these tiny, weeny improvements that actually in the end give you something amazing. So I've always looked at mindset and behavior it's fascinated me, so I've pursued that. But now I use it as, it's like a secret weapon. I use it in my business, and people don't believe the results I get. So if I bring on new clients and I tell them the results I get, they go, oh, that can't be true. There's no way you can get like thousands of % increase in business. I'm going, just call my client, just call and ask. And that's the thing, is I'm using a different skill set, and because it's intangible, and no, it doesn't come with a P&L, and there's no KPIs, and we're not measuring 10%. It's quite different. But I think nothing is more powerful than having shifts in consciousness, especially in your subconscious mind. And there's two particular theories I'd like to just mention really quickly. And they're in my second book. But the first one is, the Germans actually did the study on the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. And they were able to put someone in front of a computer screen and track their conscious ability to think versus their subconscious ability to think. And what they did was they just asked them a series of really simple questions. Am I talking to Carrie right now? Is today Tuesday? Are you having a good time? So the questions are answered yes, no, yes, no. So how fast do you think the conscious mind answered the questions, Carrie?
Oh, no, pretty quickly, I would think.
Yeah, like within a second, yeah? Like, am I talking to Carrie? Yes. I think so. I think she's there, And then the subconscious mind, how fast do you think that answers the question?
Probably the form of thought. I don't know.
Probably what?
It's either slower or faster. I really don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. So the subconscious mind answers the question before the question's asked. So if the subconscious mind is all knowing, who do you want to captain the ship? So, and again, it goes back to, the Aboriginals have, the Indigenous community in our country have a theory about the way the brains work in the body. So they have 3 different brains they talk about, which is the gut brain, the heart brain, and the brain. Now they call this tiny little brain, they call it Nundupuro. And that translates to tangled net. So why would you use your tangled net, like a tangled fishing net, without using your heart and your gut instinct as well? So if all 3 don't work, it doesn't work. And I think sometimes we use this way too much, and we're not connected to this and other things. And so that's going to impact your performance as well. So when I'm coaching with my mindset, I'm looking for improvements every week. Like, how can I improve this, improve that? And of course, it's improved my life too. Like, my life is so easy. I'm probably the happiest person I know. My life is ridiculously easy, but I decided to focus all my energy on that because it wasn't working, because I wasn't happy, because I had money issues. I didn't have a home. I couldn't feed my child. I couldn't buy him clothes, couldn't give him a swimming lesson. So I wanted a different life, and I was, by hell or high water, I'm having a bit different life. Whereas, Carrie, when people get too comfortable, they go, yeah, I'd like a better life, but, I quite like this lovely house I live in and the pool and whatever. And they actually aren't uncomfortable enough to make the shift. And so I've been really blessed to have all these tragedies which have pushed me down a path that's given me just amazing happiness. And that's what I like to teach and share now, is how to be happy, really. But mindset's everything in my work. It's 80 or 90% of what I do. And most of my coaching is all about making money, which is really interesting, because I'm creating all these millionaires working on mindset, working on things that shift performance. I'm taking like elite athletes or, everyday people or mums or farmers or whatever, and taking them from here to there, creating champions, basically.
I love it. Coaching really should be 80% mindset, 20% skill set.
I agree.
Yeah. You can teach, and I've had this too with clients, you can teach the same strategy to them all day long that you just taught the last client, which worked perfectly. And you've got this new client and it's not working. So you have to go inward. You have to know the end user might be the challenge.
That's exactly right. Because the thing is too, we're all different. We're all so unique. The way we see our world is so different that you can't position the same template, the same strategy with everyone and expect the same result. Like, it's no different to a diet, Carrie. Like, you and I could go on the same diet and we could actually stick to the same food or whatever, and we'd actually lose different amounts of weight. Why is that? Because we function differently. So you can't expect to give the same person the same strategy and expect the same result. It's insane.
I agree. No one's a cookie cutter design. Everything's catered to them. That's what I like about, obviously I work with clients privately too, so I can cater everything to them. Pass the results that way when we go deep. I love that you coach farmers. I mean, that is as awesome as it gets.
That's so funny, because I never thought I would coach a farmer. Because I used to have my own radio show. So I did that for a year and a half. And lots of people used to call me off the radio show and say, can you help me with my business? I'm like, yeah, okay. So one day I get this guy, he's like stopped in the middle of a paddock in a tractor, and he's just heard me on the radio, and he's like, I'm going to give her a call. I'm like, okay. So I get this call. It goes like this. It goes, hello, do you do farmers? And then he hung up. I'm like, do I do farmers? I'm like, I don't even know how to answer that question. I'm thinking I don't do farmers. But so anyway, he calls back and he goes, do you do farmers? I'm like, well, it's an interesting way to ask the question. Tell me more. You know, so then he just started telling me about his issues and stuff. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go. I had no idea. Now half my clients are farmers.
I love it.
Because he referred me to the beef farm, the sheep farmer refers me to the beef farmer, refers me to the grain farmer, and they all live in the same sort of area. So I'm kind of like, just have to hop down the road, and it's farmer to farmer to farmer.
That's an interesting client visit.
Yeah. It was quite smelly sometimes. I was in the yard one day actually helping them with the cows. I'm like, oh, this is not, I really don't like this. But no, it's quite interesting.
Next is a horse ranch, because you're all about horses.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is too, you know, it's interesting, like I work with elite athletes too, and I love working with athletes because I like to be fit and all of that. And I swear my farmers work harder. My elite athletes want it easier.
Interesting. Yeah, and elite athletes are used to getting up and training first thing. And
yeah, but because the clubs usually take care of so much of their business, like rent their houses and organise this and that and take care of so much, they're not pushed to make it work. But technically, in some respects, because they're all on contract, they expect a paycheck every week. Whereas my farmers, they have to make their money, you know. So it is quite different. I have to push my elite athletes way harder than I push my farmers.
Yeah. Well, it takes a special person to be a farmer. I think you already have to have that drive. And
yeah,
passion.
that's true.
Totally a different mindset.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I have farming in my family. I have a couple farmers for relatives. My mom grew up on a farm, so I just keep thinking of that in my head as you describe your story.
What sort of farmers are they?
One's a dairy farm, and then another one is mostly crops. You know, obviously all vegetation, some cows, some livestock, but for the most part, it's all fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, nice.
It's very interesting. When Shyla, my daughter, first visited the farm, the dairy farm, all she kept saying over and over, she's probably 5 or 6, was, I have cows in my family? I never knew I had cows in my family.
That's gorgeous.
Yes, kids are so cute.
Yeah, aren't they?
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. And you love the nature. You're a nature girl like me too. So
I live quite close to a big national park. So, you know, it's just, I love it. I because my work's so busy, I like the downtime of having a sanctuary to return to. And, you know, sometimes my clients come out here, they go, oh my God, it is remote where you live. And I'm like, yeah. And they say they couldn't live here, but I couldn't live anywhere else. You know?
Yeah. Well, you're an empath like myself, I believe. And we just need to shut down sometimes and get away from all the noise.
Yeah, that's it.
Clear our own energy and rejuvenate. Yes, by all means. So so you got farmers and you've got elite athletes. I mean, talk about opposite spectrums. Who else do you coach? What other kind of clients do you have?
Like mums starting businesses, you know, SMEs. I've had printers and personal trainers, and I've just actually picked up 4 different types of marketers. I've got a CEO who's like been on the board of like every Australian government organisation. So, you know, it really depends. Again, I choose my clients based on mindset. Like I will spend a day with them and figure out if I can coach them, if I'm the right coach, if I, you know, if they're coachable and all that. But I really want to like my clients, and I want to see that their overall goal is contribution, and then that's a fit. So yeah, it could be anyone. Like obviously with the farmers, that was so out of left field. Ha ha. I didn't think, you know, that was going to be possible. But yeah, so I can. But my favourites are the farmers, and I love the athletes.
I know I saw you traveling. I don't know if it was Canada or somewhere. You're all over the place. Any future stuff coming up with you doing more traveling? Fun travel?
Well, I've got my second book coming out, so there'll be a national book launch in Australia. And then, you know, we're just working on taking that overseas as well. So that will probably be at the end of 2016, because I've got, you know, group coaching happening in Australia. And then I've got, you know, a range of CD products and, you know, yeah, basically because I can only coach so few private clients. That the only way for me to reach more people is by doing, you know, bigger events. And again, they have to be, you know, under a certain time frame again. So.
When you say that, how many clients do you take on at one time, private clients?
My favorite number is about 12. Like I can't, I know a lot of coaches take on a lot more, but because I work so closely with my clients and they've got access to me 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, so I actually probably do a bit more work than, your classic coaching. And also too, I go and I spend time with them because the time helps me figure out their mindset and then helps me, coach them faster. So I have had 15. I don't like that number. It's too much for me because I like to go to my son's school events. I like to go to his athletics and go to his swimming. And, I was the school netball coach. So I like to do those things. And to me, you can't buy that time from me. So, you've got a child, you've got children once in your life. And, I'm already not cool. So you wait till he grows up, like he's 11 now. So I've got to make hay while the sun shines, literally. So yeah, I handle the privates, and then I can do group events, bigger numbers, of course, but it's a different type of coaching.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so much like you when it comes to coaching too. I really want to read their energy. I want to feel them through stuff.
Yeah.
We're so right brain coaches.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is so different in business. That hard energy, that hard left brain logic only, must do this, 2 + 2 must always equal 4, just doesn't work as well. I like the magical energy of manifestation.
Yeah, it is interesting because I in the past I saw that business coaching was much more male dominated, and there was only a handful of female coaches. And, it was kind of almost frowned upon to do the type of coaching that I was doing. And, like I was called basically the freaky coach because people go, I know that you can do it. I know you get those results, but I have no idea how. And it's like, I don't allow my clients to use the word how when I'm coaching because really you've got like 5,000 how options. It's like, okay, that how didn't work. That how didn't work. So it's one of these hows works. We don't know which how, because that's always the question they ask. Like, we'll roll out a plan. They go, well, how are we going to do this? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just try 10 different ways. And, we will find the way to do it because the steps will be up here. But see, most people like security and guarantees. So unless they know the how up front, they don't want to try it. Whereas life's not like that. Like, so many times, before you have a child, you don't know what the how is. Before you have a boyfriend, you don't know what the how is. Before you drive a car, you don't know what the how is. So why do we continuously use this word how, which is just so defunct? Like, just figure out 10 options and go down the path of those options. One of those is going to work. But and the other thing is too, most people they'll try one option and go, it didn't work for me. I'm like, oh my God, are you that limited? Really? There's 1,000 ways to do something.
I know, that's so frustrating too. When we hit that wall and I think, that's it, doesn't work.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen for me. I'm doomed.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah, that's it. And I think part of that is, we're in a society now where, it's constantly promoted to us a quick fix pill. Like, take this pill, you'll feel like this. Use this cream, you'll look like that. I've tried the creams all over. I still don't look like that. It's not a quick fix pill. It's a process. It's a journey. It's, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step today. And that's the thing, is people want it instantly, and it's not going to happen instantly. It's your life is not supposed to be all experienced today. Otherwise it'd be dead. The process is to experience life and to experience all facets of yourself and to give and contribute and to serve. That's the process. That's how I see it anyway.
I love that. Who wants to experience? That'd be one hell of a day.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Exhausting. Well, I always call myself the woo-woo business coach because I obviously I know a lot about online marketing. That's my platform. But if I can't work on the person, that's my favorite place, because I know that's where the magic happens. Absolutely does. I'm big into the new moon and setting intentions. And last month's new moon in July, I think it was July 15th.
The blue moon.
Yeah, we had the blue moon month, and I knew I needed to move. I didn't know how it was going to look. With my past history of bankruptcy, being evicted 6 years ago, all of that shit showed up in my head. And I'm like, you know what? I went up on the mountain, did my new moon intention. God, I want to have a house that my daughter will love when she comes home from her summer vacation, that I will be proud to show her. I don't know how it's going to look, but that's not my job. My job's just to have the intention. And that's it. Just fell into place so perfectly. We moved this weekend. I've got boxes all around me. You can't see them. They're like hidden.
Yeah, I can't. Right now, the house looks nice and tidy.
I know. I left a couple pictures up just because it looked kind of empty, but I was packing all weekend. And Shyla comes home Thursday. She comes home Thursday. She flies in. I get the keys Friday morning. We're moving this weekend. I even manifested people to help me. I don't have to rent a U-Haul. They've got trucks and trailers. They're just showing up to help.
But you know, that's a really important point that you just said, is it's in that moment that you set the intention. If you have the conviction and the congruency inside, of course it will manifest. Like I remember when I was coaching, you know, the football teams, and I was coaching with a bunch of other Olympians, and I was the only non-Olympian. So everyone's like, well, what can you teach me? I'm like, just give me 5 minutes. But the fascinating part was at the very end when they won the grand final, which is probably equivalent to your Super Bowl, that bowl thing that you guys play, whatever. Anyway, but when they won the grand final, they interviewed the two captains of the team, and the captain of the losing team said, we knew it was going to be a fight. So guess what they got? They got a fight. Whereas the captain that we'd been coaching, he said, we went in it to win it, and we'd been coaching him and they won it. And I mean, that is like, people think it's hard or it's complicated. It's so easy. It's ridiculous. Like, you set that intention, you believe it, it's 150% congruent, then you'll create it. But most people like drama. They like to go, oh, woe is me, I had this situation, it didn't work. Because, you know, that's how they relate to other people. Like, it's okay. You're not going to be boring. You can ask other people questions.
There was not an ounce of drama. It's so funny. It almost was, and I had to watch my own stories in my head, subconscious shit, of, you know, this is too easy. You know, we always say this is too good to be true, and then we try to sabotage it somehow. But I was like, this is meant to be. This is so in flow. I'm just going to get out of the way, you know, and that's literally how it worked. So perfect.
The key is to watch how you behave when you're in a drama situation. Like, I pretty much don't have drama in my life anymore. It's like about that big. But I had a situation recently where it kind of blew up for about two days, and it was sort of going back and forth with, you know, this particular person. And I just remember waking up and going, wait a second, I don't do drama. And so then I went, no, this is it, I'm not doing drama, and it disappeared. But do you know what my first thought was after that? Was, oh my God, it's finished. I'm like, whoa, you know, go watch a thrilling movie. If that's it and you're now feeling sad because that drama's gone, go watch Mission Impossible or something. Like, get your drama elsewhere. But I did notice that, and I thought, oh, it's over. And that's what we do. We all buy into this drama stuff. Like, it's just weird.
There's a part of us that I think our DNA actually gets addicted to it in your cells.
I think it could also be historically, you know, we started out as cavemen and women, so we had fight or flight. Like, you know, if you don't run fast enough, you're going to be eaten by the saber-toothed tiger or the, you know, just the tiger or whatever. So we had fight and flight in our DNA. Now we don't have it so much, so we create it.
Yeah, it has to be hard. We want the struggle, so it feels like we earned it.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the tiger ourselves.
That's right. I'm sure you've had this happen too, and I did, especially, you know, like the first invoice that got paid from a client, I felt like I almost rejected it, or I thought, oh my God, she paid it, and she paid me for that exact amount that I've always wanted. I can't believe this is happening. This is too good to be true. I almost went back and went, you can only pay me half. I like went right back down to, you know, a limiting belief and sabotaging my upper level, because it's so much fun to do what we do. It's so in flow and so natural that it feels like it's not hard enough to charge what I do. I'm sure you had this come up to you.
It's funny you say that, because when I had that spa, like, basically I made $500 a month every month for 12 years, and you can't really live on that. Like, it's very hard to live on $500 a month. But I was so used to that I was, you know, getting coupons from my parents-in-law and house sitting and, you know, eating beans and rice and stuff, and I just didn't think anything of it. But I remember when my coach said to me, don't you want to make like $5,000 a month? I literally had a physical reaction. I literally went, like, because it was 10 times what I'd ever made, and I just sort of, it just seemed so huge. Whereas now, like, my fees are like just so through the roof, it's ridiculous. And I think of it in terms of a color, like, that's just purple. Like, would I want less grass on my lawn? No. Are there billions of blades of grass on my lawn? Yes. Do I like it green? Yes. You know, and the funny thing was, I remember the very first client that prepaid me for months in advance was just a huge sum of money. And I was so used to making $500 a month that it was around Christmas that I got paid, and I had this big chunk of money in the bank account that when we went grocery shopping for Christmas Day, I was used to spending $150 for, you know, groceries for Christmas Day. That was it, and that would have been money I would have had to put aside very carefully to, you know. So this grocery shop was like $300 or $400 for Christmas Day, and I couldn't put the trolley through the till. I kept going to the cash register going, oh, and I'm like, but then the other part of me is going, the money's in the bank. I'm like, oh, because it's the Pavlov's dog thing. I was so habituated to not having money that even though I knew I had money, I didn't actually believe it. So I must have, you know, backed up that trolley about 5 or 6 times before I actually put it through. And I went, oh my God, I just spent $300 or $400 on groceries. Oh my God, I just spent $300 or $400 in groceries. And I think that particular time, I probably spent the money that I got in less than a month, but I sort of never did it again because I wasn't used to having any additional income. Yeah, I really noticed that. I couldn't handle it. I still was in poverty mindset, even though I had the money in the bank. I still thought I was poor.
I know. I always say you can't out-earn a bad money belief. You know, you really got to work on that. Peel the layers,
yeah, you do.
Plant new seeds.
Whereas now I have a $1 billion mindset. And the funny thing is it's happening because I'm actually, you know why? I'm not surrounded by millionaires. I'm actually surrounded by billionaires by default through my clients and stuff. And I'm like, I chose a $1 billion mindset because I thought it'd be more fun. Like, you know, I don't think, but other people go, whoa, that's so much money. I'm like, blades of grass, color purple. Like, you know, it would take me a long time to count the grass on my lawn, but I'm sure it would come to $1 billion. I mean, I live on acreage, but, you know.
I love that. I'm going to start using it, the color purple mindset.
Yeah, it's just because it's just a mindset. And the funny thing is, where's my diary? It's not here. But I actually bought a purple diary and, oh, it's under here. I've got to lift you up a second. So I've always said, I hope you don't get seats.
Don't let me fall.
I'll let you fall. The funny thing was, see, I love these handmade diaries that this lady makes, and she makes them out of silk, and they're beautiful. Look, so all of them are like this. They're gorgeous, gorgeous handmade diaries, and they've always been like blue or orange or whatever. And I'd always been saying that $1 billion is purple. And then this year's diary
is purple.
And the funny thing is, I didn't register that it was purple until about 4 months after I got it. And I went, oh my God, I'm on the $1 billion plan because the diary is purple. Like, I got the diary before I registered that I'd said purple is the $1 billion color, which is just fascinating for me. I'll raise you again. Going up, first class. Here we go. Was it good for you?
Well, we described since she's down under that they're upside down. So I was going to do the interview upside down.
Blood's rushing to my head as we speak, so you know.
I love my Australian peeps. They're the best. I will get down there one of these days. I will.
Come and stay on the farm with me with my peacock and my roosters.
Of course, that would be the best spot ever.
The chickens have been eaten, but doesn't matter. We'll fix that. not by us, by birds of prey and by wild dogs.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I remember when you had your ducks and you would post stories on social media about your ducks. It was so cute.
Daisy, Doris, Daphne, and Delilah all got eaten. Not by us.
No. Aw, you're not supposed to tell me the sad story.
Yeah.
They're in duck heaven.
Supposed to be uplifting.
Yes, they're in duck heaven. So tell us about your books. You've got your second one. Is it printed yet? I can't remember.
Yeah, so this is the first one. So that came out 4 years ago.
Climbing Mount Everest in Sandals.
Yeah, which I don't recommend. I think you need at least a pair of hiking boots. So basically the story is, you know, all the things that happened to me in my life and how under-resourced I was. Like, you can't hike Everest in sandals or thongs. Like, you're not going to make it. I didn't realize I was under-resourced, but I learned so much. And my new book's called Life is a Choice, and the choice is yours. And so the first book was just a story you can get that I wrote. My story, but you can get over anything. Whereas I never intended to write the second book. It's just that people said to me, well, how did you change your life? And I'm like, it's in the book. And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. But so many people said it wasn't that I went, oh my God, do I have to write another one? You know, with all the help. So I just thought, who has helped me change my life? And I went out to them and I said, would you write a chapter in my book? So there's 10 experts. One of them was the Life Guru on the Discovery Show. Another one's Jeremy Donovan, who's open for the Queen and open for the Apple Conference. Like, some of them have done some really great work. And I really trust their expertise. And I love the fact that I can't give everyone everything. I've got some answers, but I don't have all the answers. So I'm glad that I've got more answers by inviting them to do a chapter. And yeah, very excited about this book. But yeah, that's enough books now.
She's done. After her book tour, she's all done. Fabulous. Yeah. So tell the audience how they can connect with you, Rhiannon. If they have questions, advice, anything how can they find you?
Yeah, so on Facebook is always great. Rhiannon Rees on Facebook. Obviously, my website's just being rebuilt again for the 5th time, so that's rhiannonr.com, and we will be doing posting about the events, the book launches, and group coaching events in the next few months. So, love to have you along, and there are a couple of gifts and things like that are coming up as well. So, yeah.
Perfect.
And I really want to say thanks so much for having me on your show today too, Carrie, because I think, you know, we're quite similar in how we see life and, you know, how we coach and stuff like that. So, you know, you're someone who's quite dear to me.
Oh, you have no idea how dear you are to me. It's like that sister that's just in another country. That's all.
Oh, that's lovely. It's only because I'm upside down.
That's right. But the book is available to purchase yet or no?
It will be in the next 4 weeks, yes, through the website.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect timing. Just as this
yes,
is launching.
Yeah.
Awesome timing. Good
Coming
job. Well, any final thoughts to someone that's just looking into entrepreneurship for the first time, or someone that's struggling and thinking, maybe I should go back and get a job? Any final thoughts for our audience today?
I think that my final thoughts would be the most important thing is whether you're taking the job or looking into being an entrepreneur, be true to yourself first. Like, don't be swayed by whatever anyone else tells you. Like, you already have the answers. Like, spend some time with yourself and look into your own heart and ask yourself what's true and what's real and what would make you happy. And then the other thing I would say is a lot of people are afraid it won't work, they won't make the money, what if? Well, what if you don't? And I think at the end of the day, like, when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to say, oh my God, I failed. You're going to say, wow, what an amazing life I had and how many experiences was I able to live through? And I just don't be afraid. So be true to yourself. Don't be afraid. And you know what? Dive in. There's plenty of people who can help you. And there's plenty of people who have businesses and who have done it before. And of course, there's coaches and there's mentors and there's groups and things like that. There's lots of books. Yeah, and above all, have fun and enjoy yourself. Like, you know, it's most important.
I think fun is the best vibration on the planet. It just attracts more fun. So
I haven't noticed that with you at all.
I know. Shocker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How did you get that boring?
I know.
It's in your vocab, is it, Carrie?
That's me, the boring one.
Yeah. Where is that bottle of champagne that just pops itself? That's Carrie.
Oh, that's the best description ever. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like the color of champagne too. Just a little bubbly and everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Rhiannon, for your time today. Much love to you and best wishes with the second book coming out. And guys, go grab it. I will have all the links to find Rhiannon in the body of this YouTube video as well as on the landing page. So you guys are good to go. So big hugs. Mwah. Bye, everyone.
Love you.